Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. Today I want to talk about a topic that I have been hinting at during recent or previous videos, but this issue really deserves a dedicated video now, so here we go. If you are reading the news or if you are employed in the industry, you know this for a long time already, and it is nothing unnatural in fact. The economic cycle that we are having right now, the boom that we have experienced in the last 10 years since the last economic downturn is coming to an end. So in today's video I want to report to you about events from this year 2019 in Germany that tell us very clearly that the times of economic growth are over for the time being. Then I want to tell you what the employees and also the big corporations are thinking right now in Germany, how the actors on the market in Germany are responding to the situation, and what that means for Germany for the future but also for the world. So as I said, if you're working in the German industry, in the manufacturing industry, for example, in the automotive industry, you know as well as I do that people are not really feeling optimistic at the moment. But you don't really need inside information or something like that. We can just have a look at the news. Check this out. The German automotive supplier Schaeffler wants to get rid of 900 employees, 700 of them in Germany. Then the German industrial giant Siemens wants to reduce 760 jobs in the energy sector, and the restructuring of the whole corporation will lead to the loss of 2,700 jobs in the near future, half of them in Germany. Now, if you think these are peanuts, let's look at Volkswagen, or VW as we just call it. They want to cut 7,000 jobs in their administration. Now let's look at the banking sector. Deutsche Bank plans to cut 18,000 jobs. And also our chemical industry is not looking good. BASF, the German chemistry company, wants to cut 6,000 jobs. BASF is actually a very interesting company. If you don't know them, if you have never heard of BASF, you should look it up. There is hardly anything in the world that's being sold that doesn't contain of or was made with the help of one of their products. In an adjacent industry, the pharmaceutical and crop science industry, Bayer wants to cut 12,000 jobs, 4,500 of them in Germany alone. And to make things worse, Ford wants to let go 12,000 people in Europe, 5,400 in Germany. And then even the IT and software giant SAP wants to let go over 4,000 people, over 1,000 in Germany alone. So you see, it is in all major industries that we see similar things going on. It is not just bad times in one industry. And let me just clarify something, because some people might say, okay, you add up all these numbers and you get a couple of 100,000 people, so what? Germany is a big country, all in all that doesn't matter so much. You have to bear in mind though that these are well-paying career jobs, and when these large corporations are reducing their staff and their investments, that means that all the smaller companies in the periphery, that means their direct suppliers or just the economy in the area where they have their plants in general, are all suffering from that. So the overall integral effect on the economy cannot be underestimated. So these were just some headlines that came out of these major German corporations. But what is the situation in Germany in general? Several surveys and investigations have been performed, and the first thing that I want to tell you is that the German offices for labor are having a pessimistic view of the future. So here you see data ranging back to 2008, where they asked the German Association for Labor, which is basically a public office, how they see the labor market at the moment. And you can still see 2008, 2009, it was really bad. Then it was overall good, and now it dips again. Well, it has dipped before, but it is just one of those indications. So the Labor Office has not a very good outlook of the future right now. And it is not only the bureaucrats that see it this way. When people are asked directly, how safe do you think your job is? So here they ask directly the employees how safe they feel in their jobs right now. And the big news, or the big shock rather, is here that almost half of the employees in the Maschinenbau sector. The mechanical engineering sector. Maschinenbau is an important word. I want you to memorize that. Maschinenbau is mechanical engineering, and it means machine building. Almost half the people employed in this sector feel that their jobs are not safe at the moment. They fear to lose their job in the near future because they see that all around them and in their business units, in their departments, in their group, orders are going down and business becomes less. And this is really important, especially for Germany, because the Maschinenbau is kind of the heart of the German industry. A lot of these jobs are in small or mid-sized companies. You might have heard the word Mittelstand, small to mid-sized companies that are sometimes still owned by a family or by the person that founded them. Classically, they found a niche in the market, specialized on that, and now supply customers worldwide with their top products. So it is really devastating news that the backbone of the German industry feels this unsafe right now. And once again, these are high-paying career jobs. The fallout from the loss of those jobs is really gigantic. Some of my viewers from outside of Germany might even have heard about our miracle weapon against recessions and against periods of low economic activity. That is short labor, Kurzarbeit. It is a tool that the corporations together with the German state are using in order to prevent major job losses and a shrinking of the economy during a temporary economic downtime. In short words, the employees stay at home for half of the time, and the difference in salary are partly compensated by the taxpayer. So that means that no one gets fired, the people make a little less money, and the corporations save half of their employment costs. Of course, I'm simplifying it here. A corporation can apply for this measure only when there is a general economic crisis that could not have been foreseen or prevented. Higher powers, so to speak. And what can we read in the German newspapers about that? They asked employers in Germany in July 2019 in certain industries whether or not they are already using this tool, short labor, Kurzarbeit. And as you can see, in vehicle construction, in the textile industry, in the leather industry, but also in Maschinenbau and the metal industry in general, you see that this number is already non-zero. And in good times, there shouldn't be any short labor. The fact that anybody in Germany answers this question with yes is actually alarming. But the situation has already progressed even further. Now, traditionally, the consumers, the private households, are not really a substantial pillar of the German industry in contrast to the United States, where the consumer is much more important. Also, in the world economy, we call the Americans the consumers of last resort. Traditionally, I say, because in the last years, even the German households that normally hoard their money instead of spending a lot actually bought a lot more stuff so that they contributed to the economic growth in a larger degree than they traditionally had. This is changing, however, since the beginning of 2018 already. Private household consumption goes down steadily. So it is no surprise that economists are telling us that the likelihood of a recession is rising right now. We normally talk of recession when the economy is shrinking in 2 consecutive quarters. And the numbers for the second quarter will be available in autumn. So there is always a little delay because you don't know what the numbers will be in this quarter. Only in the next quarter you know what it was in the last one. So let's put all of this into perspective. First of all, I want you to understand that some of these key industries are not only important for Germany, but they are actually global indicators. Because our Maschinenbau and also Anlagenbau, that is plant construction, is primarily active in export and abroad. So what does that mean if they get less orders? That means that factories worldwide, companies worldwide are investing less in automation or in increasing their capacity. That means that they think that in the future, in the near future, there will be less business or at least no growth that would require an increase of their production capability. In this sense, the German Maschinen- and Anlagenbau becomes a global indicator for the manufacturing sector. It is not like you cannot build a factory without German products if you want to, but in most factories worldwide, in most production lines, you find German components. But what does it mean for Germany now? Of course, as I have already mentioned, many people will simply lose their jobs. Then also the revenue of the state, that is at an all-time high right now, will go back dramatically. Many people have just built or bought houses. If they lose their jobs now, they will be in a lot of trouble and might have to sell their houses because they simply cannot keep up with the interest payments for the loans they took. The German state might have to increase taxes or to borrow money. Increasing taxes, of course, is a horrible idea in an economic downturn. A naive and very ignorant observer might interject now that there shouldn't be any problem because we had 10 years to prepare for such a thing. Every boom ends at some point, of course, and the person who says that would actually be correct. But during the last 10 years, the Germans have not been rational people. They haven't been using common sense. No, instead of preparing for those coming bad years, like it is also mentioned in the Old Testament, in the Bible, in the story of Joseph, instead of 7 fat years, we had 10 fat years. And how are we looking now? Are our granaries filled? Are our walls high, deep and strong and well maintained? Are our vaults secure and full of gold? Is our powder dry and stored securely in large quantity? Of course, you all know that the answer to all of these questions is no. And to make things worse, since 2015 especially, we, let's just say, increased our liabilities. We need to fork over tribute payments for millions of people who came into our country and who are already proving on a daily basis to everybody what they are capable of doing when we do not pay. Our security forces and our military are in disarray and unorganized, unable to maintain public order and guarantee safety on our streets. In other words, I don't want anybody to be surprised if by the end of the year or during the next year, a lot of things will change. And not for the better, I might add. So I hope you found this condensed summary of the German economy at the moment useful. Maybe even my German listeners could learn a thing or two, and if you're watching from abroad, I hope that I can inform you better about these things than your domestic news sources by simply translating and explaining to you articles from German newspapers. Be safe wherever you are. Servus, Kameraden. If you enjoyed my content, please like, share and subscribe. As the algorithms are not really promoting my work, I am really relying on you here. If you find my content entertaining and informative, please consider making a small donation or even becoming a patron of mine. With your help, I can keep this channel going and offer more content like this in the future. You can actually become number 2 on Patreon.